Welcome to the second episode of Inspirasi Podcast, where we share inspiring stories of you from all around the world. For today's episode, we have a special guest who pursuing PhD at UT Austin. Let me introduce you to Juan. All right. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there want to know who are you. So can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, thank you for having me. So my name is Juan Gonzalez. I'm originally from California in the United States. I got both my bachelor's and master's degrees at California State University, Long Beach. And currently, like you mentioned, I'm a PhD student at UT Austin doing a PhD in education policy. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here and to be able to share my story with you.
Right. Wonderful. So, as I know that you are under the Fulbright scholarship for your PhD, right? So, may I know what's inspired you to apply this particular scholarship? Because we know that we have like a lot of option out there, right? Why is it Fulbright scholarship?
Yeah, so I actually did my Fulbright scholarship in Argentina in 2022, and I was there to teach English at the university level. So that's when I did it. So it's not necessarily with my PhD now, even though I still am a Fulbright Alumni Ambassador. So I still talk about Fulbright and help people who are going through the process of applying to different Fulbright grants. But yeah, so that's how I was involved with the Fulbright program back in 2022.
Right. That's interesting because some people they found out from their friends, or
Yeah.
they found out like from LinkedIn, or someone shared to you, and then you just found out for yourself in Argentina 2022. That's really wonderful, right? So we wanted to know what's the application process like.
Yeah, so coming from the US to get a Fulbright grant to go to another country, which is a program that I did, it's a pretty extensive process. So it takes a few months to complete, where you have to write statements. You do like a grant purpose, where basically you talk about the work that you hope to do in the country and like the different projects that you're interested in being involved in, as well as some personal statements where you talk more about your own story and how this type of program will kind of help you get to whatever next step you hope to have in your trajectory. And then as well, just having recommendations from different people, whether it's professors or old supervisors or things like that. And then also, because I was going to a country where English wasn't the official language, I also had to do a language exam to make sure that I was proficient enough in the local language, which is Spanish, in order to go there. So all of that took months to complete, because of course you're editing your statements and you're kind of contacting people to serve as recommenders and to clear your language requirement and all of that. So it was an extensive process. It started in April and then everything was submitted in October. So yeah, it took some time, but it definitely is worth putting in the effort.
Wow. Yeah. Usually this kind of program they have like a lengthy process, and in fact when
Right.
I go to UT Austin back then, it doesn't take like a short process. It was like we have like an essay recommendation letter, like what you said,
Mm-hmm.
and like purpose of statement and application essay as well. So, yeah, I think it's almost the same. Just now you mentioned about English Spanish requirement. Is it like some sort of TOEFL or IELTS, but it's for Spanish? Am I correct?
So no, it was basically like Fulbright provided like a assessment
Uh huh.
that I had to find basically a Spanish professor at a university. So I went back to my alma mater where I did my master's, and I found a professor who was a Spanish professor. Basically, they sent them the assessment, and then I did like a Zoom call with them, and they asked me. We basically had like a scripted conversation in Spanish where they were asking me questions, and I was supposed to respond in Spanish, and then at the end, they decide what level I was at. So it's a little less rigorous than doing like a one of those other language assessments, but it still needed to be a professor who is accredited in the language, and then it still needs to be like a full Spanish conversation.
I see,
Yeah.
I see. Wow. Wow, that's great. So, my next question is that, so how do you prepare for your all of this process, like the essay or interview? Do you have like a mentor or a book or a guide or a YouTuber that you look after as a guideline?
Yeah, so really for me personally, I have a combination of all of those things, right? So I have a few mentors that I've worked with over the years, like one of them being my advisor from my master's program. So I was able to kind of talk to him and about like the type of questions and the things that I wanted to do. So it was helpful to have somebody who kind of understood and knew my professional identity, to kind of like talk through the things. I was also lucky enough to have a Fulbright advisor on my campus. So I was able to work with her, and she was the one that was giving me feedback on my statements and things like that. But then also personally, I thought it was important to take my time on like how I was writing the statements and what kind of things I was putting in there. Because my goal is not to sound like everybody else, not to sound like a robot or not to sound generic, but to really make sure that whatever I'm writing is like I'm coming across in it, and it's telling my story, and it's showing my personality. Because ultimately, I know that that's what's going to help me stand out versus just like wanting to sound like everybody else, if that makes sense.
I think you highlighted a good point, not sounding like a robot. Yeah, not
Right.
sound like a generic person. Be authentic and being yourself. I think that's a part where a lot of people not really focus on because they want to. It's very. It's quite. It's to be authentic is it's the key to stand out, like what you said. Yeah.
Right.
So throughout the whole process of application, would there any setback or any like some hurdle or challenges before you finally succeed? Is it your first time applying, or is there like several times you applying and eventually you succeeded?
So I did. It was my first time applying as when I was awarded the scholarship. Even though I do know people who applied a few times before they were awarded the scholarship. So yeah. So I think for me it was that first time, but there definitely was setbacks in just like I guess more like the confidence and like the like feeling like assured of like what I'm putting out. Like, is this gonna be good enough? Because that's the problem sometimes when you are filling stuff out or writing statements over a course of a month, is that like you might write something 1 month and then a month later you read it and you're like, what is this? You know? So then you're like rewriting or re-adding, and it just like could do a lot of self-doubt. So for me, it was important to eventually like write things down, work with people who are helping me edit, and then to stick to the story that I want to tell. Because the more you read it, the more you want to change it, or the more, you know what I mean? So for me, that was definitely like the biggest setback, was just kind of like that self-doubt of like, is this good enough? Is this gonna stand out? So it took a little bit more like self-confidence to kind of just be like, no, this is the best work that I'm putting out. And if I get it, great. If I don't get it, then it's just not meant for me right now. And that's really the mentality that I tried to go into it once I submitted and was waiting to see what they would say.
I see. I think self-doubting is normal. Sometimes when applying to a certain program, I was thinking to myself, am I worth to apply, or I think I'm not good enough for this kind of program. But um, in the end, if we try to apply, if we get rejection, it's okay because it's not the end of the world. But if we really
Right.
get into that program. So it means that we really luck, or that's our opportunity that have already given to us. So
Exactly.
there's no risk in applying. So
Exactly. Yeah.
what's the most rewarding part of being a Fulbrighter?
Yeah, I think for me, it was the opportunity to go to another country. So I grew up not really traveling out of the country a lot. Both of my parents are immigrants from Mexico, so I'm a first generation American. I was born in the U.S. and I was raised in the U.S. But I wasn't really able to like have the luxury of like traveling around the world and seeing all those things. So once I was at the age where I was applying for things like Fulbright, it gave me an opportunity to see the world, right? And to get out of my comfort zone and to really start learning about the importance of like intercultural relationships with other people from other countries and understanding that like the US or one specific country is not all, right? There's other countries, there's people around the world, and there's other things that are worth connecting with and worth learning from. Um, so I would say that's the most rewarding thing that I got from my Fulbright experience, and that I still get as like a Fulbrighter, because once you're a Fulbrighter forever. So I think for me, that's something that I always carry with me. Like if I meet, even how I met you in Texas, right? Like if I meet people, like it's important to see the value in that other person and to have that like mutual understanding of like we're people from different parts of the world, we're people from different upbringings, but we're here together now, so it's worth making a connection.
Right, right, right. That's a very comprehensive answer. So yeah, like what you said, traveling. It's not a lot of people have the opportunity to travel abroad. Even me, I
Right,
was born and raised in Malaysia. It was my first time going to the West, and it opened my horizon to see other people's culture, and I was
right.
fortunate to meet amazing people like you yeah, in Texas. Yeah. So my next question is that how this scholarship shape your academic or your professional goals?
Yeah, so I've always worked in education. You know, I've most of my career has been working in universities, working with university aged students. And after doing Fulbright and before like deciding I wanted to do a PhD, I definitely saw that there was a gap between university students who were underrepresented. So whether that's in the US context being like a student of color or being like a low income student or even being like an LGBT student. So I noticed that there was students who were underrepresented in opportunities to go abroad, to study abroad or to do things like Fulbright. So my I was like, I want to get a PhD and I want to focus my career on creating more access and creating more opportunities to eliminate barriers for these students so that when we represent the United States abroad, it's like a clear representation of everyone who is from the United States and not just one specific type of person. Because I think that's important, right? I've seen the difference that doing Fulbright has made for my life and my just even my own development as a human. And I think it's important to make sure that we are doing everything we can to create those opportunities and that access for other students who are like me and other students who are not like me, right? But that just don't have those opportunities as easily as some others may.
I like that you have the genuine intention of pursuing PhD because, like what you said, some people are not represented in certain field, especially those
Right.
are in minority. Because I have a friend who wanted to pursuing PhD because they want to earn the
Mhm.
doctor title. But for you, you are like unique for me.
Right. I mean, that's important too, but but that's not the reason. Yeah. It's a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
of time, it's a lot of effort just
correct,
to like get some letters. So, yeah, no, that's
correct,
not
correct. Yeah.
only it. Yeah.
I like how you have this genuine intention of like to help those in not represent not represented in that certain of field. Okay, so
Right.
um, just now you mentioned that you went to Argentina, right? So were there
Mhm.
any cultural or academic challenges when you faced to Argentina in abroad?
Yeah, I mean, so I wasn't there as a student, I was there as an educator. So I was working in a smaller area of the country that was more rural. So a lot of the institutions that I was at were like low resource institutions. So it was basically like being able to come up with activities and come up with lessons with not a lot of materials given to me. But it was a challenge that I appreciated because I was role modeling to my students that like you don't need to have a lot of things to create learning opportunities and to help other people learn. So for me, that was like one of the things that I really focused on is how do I make this fun? How do I make this interactive? And more than anything, how do I make this memorable for students who have never maybe met someone from the United States in person, or maybe never interacted with like a native English speaker as often as they got to, right? Because they saw me every week for 10 months. Um, so those are things that are definitely considered. And also for me, it was like making sure that I was making time to connect with them and to learn from them about not only just their culture, but also about them and who they are as people and the desires and the hopes and the dreams that they have. Because all of us as individuals have those things. So I think I really wanted to like honor and respect the fact that like they all have dreams and things that they want out of life. And I'm just like a little part of someone who's like kind of giving them that hope that like, hey, things are possible. You just kind of have to try your best to.
I see. So yeah, I like where you mentioned is that being as educator, you have to be create this memorable because when I was in high school, um, what makes me really passionate about physics is that I have this one teacher. He always go extra mile in physics class where she show all the experimental physics instead of learning in books. So until today, I'm pursuing my master in physics, and I really love that course. I know some people see physics as hard, but if you really interest in that field, whether it's hard or easy, become another story. But it's going to be uh, your passion throughout your life. Yeah. So my next question is that uh, can you share a memorable moment from your time as a Fulbright scholar?
Wow, right. There's so many. Um,
Pick the
Honestly,
best one.
it's just yeah. I'm trying to think of like just one, right? I think so. One of the projects that I worked on is because one of my loves is theater. I grew up doing theater in elementary school and in middle school and in high school, like stage theater. So I really appreciate the arts, and I think it's important to utilize them as teaching tools. So one of the projects that I worked on in one of the institutions in Argentina was to create a stage production of Greece with my students. So, and I used it as a way to teach them English. So I would work with them one on one on reciting their lines, and I was explaining to them basically like what they're saying, how they're saying it, because many of them their English like levels were pretty low. But I wanted to kind of give them the confidence of like, hey, well, I'm going to teach you how to pronounce these things. I'm going to teach you what they mean, and then we're going to put it all together and dance and sing and act, and it's going to be fun, right? So it was like a fun way, and to have like the community be the audience, because it was like a whole play, right? We had an audience of the community. There was food, there was music, and then I was also in the play. So me and my students did this play together, and it really kind of showed them like you don't have to be a fluent English speaker to like put on a show and to like still speak English and to be understood, you know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's definitely one of the most memorable and something that I'm really proud of, not even just of myself, but also of them for having the confidence. There's so many people who feel like maybe they speak with an accent or they don't speak well enough that would be terrified to get in front of an audience and say words and dance and sing in English. But they did it and they were great. Yeah.
Wow. I I if I would get a teacher like you, I feel motivated to you go to your class.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
that's so sweet. Thank you.
because I'm not my English is not really great, and um, I have to admit that sometimes I feel not confident to speak in English, and
Right.
a person who are really passionate like you, I think you can teach people like us until we really can understand and able to speak confidently. Yeah.
Right. And like I always told my students, I wasn't like a technical English teacher, right? I'm not grading papers. I'm not
Uh-huh.
doing that. To me, my goal is to understand and to be understood. So if I understand what you're saying, however you're saying it, and if you understand what I'm saying, however I'm saying it, then we're speaking English.
Right, right,
That's what I
right.
was telling my students. And once I kind of set that as the foundation of our classes, they were way more confident, even just using like simple words or trying to piece things together because they knew that I wasn't going to judge how they said it, if they said a word correctly, how many words that they're using. To me, it was more like it was all about confidence because language learning and language acquisition is all about confidence, right? If you're confident enough, then you're just going to speak the language. It might not be always grammatically correct, it might not always be perfect, but as long as you're understood and you understand, then you're doing what needs to be done.
Great, great, great. I actually like how you mentioned that as long as people understand your context, it's good enough. Because
Right.
I believe that as the time goes, although our grammar is not that great, it keep improving, and people also give a constructive feedback on your language.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't have to be perfect at the first place, but you have to get initiate to speak confidently with people. Yeah,
Exactly.
right. So we'll come to the closing part. So, w- can you give us one word to describe your scholarship journey?
Um, Honestly, I would say transformative.
Transformative.
Yeah.
I
Did you
see.
want me to expand or just leave it at the one word?
Oh, you can elaborate it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it was at a time in my life where I had completed my master's. I actually never wanted to be in a PhD program. I was like, I don't want to go back to school. School's over. I'm just going to work and travel the world and do all these things, right? So, because I finally could have those opportunities, but um, it really transformed the way I was thinking because I went from like focusing on my personal experience to realizing that I had the ability to do things for other people in a bigger way. So it really transformed the way that I was thinking about things. And I was like, I need to be in a PhD program because the access and opportunities I'm going to get after I'm done are going to help so many more other people like me um, get these opportunities and to be able to also call themselves Fulbrighters or to be able to get scholarships to do whatever program they want in whatever field.
I see.
Yeah.
I like you how you mentioned transformative because who knows because you don't know that whether you want to go PhD or not. There's
Right.
one quote that I really like is that education is never ending journey. You have to keep learning until you die. Yeah.
We're always students, yeah. And that's the thing that I've learned as an educator. If I'm not willing to be a student, then it's difficult to be part of your class and your community, right? Like you also have to be willing to learn from the students that you're working with.
Correct. All right. To close
Mhm.
our session, what's your final motivation would you give to those who preparing to apply for scholarship?
I think as cliche as it sounds, is definitely to not give up and really try to fight against that self-doubt and those feelings of like not being good enough or even those feelings of like, well, I'm not going to get it, so I don't want to bother. I think it's whatever it is, do your best, be yourself, really try to put in your story. I always tell people don't just have like professors or academic people read your statements, have your best friend read your statement, right? Someone who knows you outside of being like a student or being like a worker or whatever, someone who knows the real you, have them read it and tell you like, this sounds like you, this is you authentically, or someone to be like, this sounds fake, right? Like this isn't the actual you. Because I think as long as you're putting your best foot forward and you're telling your story in a way that you feel good, If you get it, great. If you don't get it, you know that it wasn't meant to be at that moment because you were being honest, you were being real, you were being authentic, and you just didn't get it, right? It's not that you're not good enough. It's just, it wasn't meant to be at that moment. And I would say continue to try because eventually that the specific and to keep your an open mind because maybe the opportunity you're applying for that you're not getting is just not what's meant for you, but there might be other opportunities out there. And that's the important thing is that there is so many different things, whether it's regionally in your country that is offering you scholarships or places, other countries that offer scholarship opportunities. So definitely just doing the research, trying as many times as you need to, and really just focusing on putting your best self forward. And that's it. Yeah.
Great. That's really inspiring. I actually like where you mentioned let your best friend read your essay and study because
Yes.
if we put that context, for example, if we compare to a professor or academician, right? Our best friend is a human too, so they can definitely resonate your story in their life, yeah, and be authentic as well. Some people they try to be
Exactly.
hard, to be perfect, and to be super standout. Some amount of flaw shows that we are human. I can give you example. My life journey is not a straight line, but
Right.
what every time if I have a hurdle or any problem, that doesn't stop me. It keeps me propelled or driven or really motivates me until I really get whatever I need in my life. So that dedication that I have shows me I'm really passionate or really wanted to get whatever I wanted. Yeah, but that failure doesn't stop me to. It's not a dead end for me. Yeah, I like how you said being authentic is the
Yeah.
key. Yeah.
And every time I don't get something that I want, I set a reminder in my phone for a year later, and then I reflect. And then when I get the reminder, I reflect on all the things that I did that last year that I was able to do because I didn't get that opportunity,
Oh.
right? So think about it. Like, let's say you're like thinking, I really want to get this Fulbright thing and I want to be gone for a year, and then you don't get it. Then I set a reminder for 1 year from the day I found out I didn't get it. And then that in a year, when that reminder goes off, I think about like, wow, look at all the experiences that I did in 1 year, all the things, the friends that I hung out with, the things that I did that I would not have done if I was gone. And it really makes you feel grateful for the moments and the people that are in your life right now. Because it's not that they're wanting to do something outside of that doesn't mean that you're not happy where you're at. But sometimes we do have to kind of just sit and embrace the fact that like we might already have so many great people and things around us. And just because we don't get what we want immediately doesn't mean that we shouldn't embrace what we already have.
I see. I like how positive your answer is. Yeah, I think that's all.
That doesn't mean you can't cry about it a little bit. You just have to like shake it off and move on eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's all for today. And thank you so much for having us
course.
in this podcast. And to those who watch this podcast to the end, please like, share, and leave a comment if you really like it. And I think that's all
Yeah.
from us. Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you for having me.